We're live. We're live.
Come on. Oh, are we?
Yep.
It says off air.
Mine's live.
It's live.
Oh dear.
I'll just stare like a deer in the head. Oh, there we go. It's live. Hey, look at that. I'm just behind. So yeah, welcome to hang out for my pick, which was lucky because it's my birthday month. So yay me. And rather than a book, I decided to do something a little bit different, which was to pick a movie. And normally in the past, when this group has done a movie watch, we've done it as a live watch and sort of chatted on Skype about it as we've gone. But instead of that, I thought we'd keep the same post-watch or post-read style hangout, but do it for a movie. So hopefully we've all seen it now. Did everyone get to see it in the end?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Excellent. And fairly recently? Last night? Good stuff.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yesterday? Nice. No one's watched it like months ago and is trying to remember back?
Nope.
Cool. I don't know if my connection's particularly good, so it's all a bit choppy, so
You seem
I
to be
apologise.
doing okay.
Okay. So yes, my pick was Ex Machina, which was written and directed by Alex Garland.
Oh, you did do your research. You're the right man for the job, Bat, until he falls off.
Where's he gone?
He did say his connection was choppy.
It's true. That's true.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi in our house is crap.
Yeah. And actually, just to caveat what Matt was saying, we actually have done some of these watches before. We tend to do them, if anyone out there is ever watching this again and interested in what we have to say, we have one for her, which is on my channel, which I totally recommend you watch if you're interested in this type of thing, because we talk about AI and that. Ruby Sparks we did as well, which was also talking about a person's control over another being that they've created. And we did Interstellar, which is got nothing to do with that, but it's just sci-fi. We all love sci-fi. So I recommend if you are interested in what our group does and you want to know more about what we discuss about movies we've seen, check those out.
Awesome.
That was me filling in space.
Do you want to keep going, Sarah, until Matt gets back?
Sure. And then what we do with our live watches where we all jump on Skype is we tend to pick films that a lot of us have seen before. So, for instance, we watched Die Hard. We all loved that. I think we've watched one of the... Did we watch Empire? Which Star Wars one did we watch? Or did we watch number one? I think we got forced to watch number one.
I think it was number one.
Yeah. Anyway, Matt's back to take over, so there we go.
Well, number...
Thank you, Sarah.
I wasn't joking about having the terrible quality. It dropped out.
Yeah, interestingly, I didn't see any of it at all, and we're gone.
There you go. What was I up to? Oh yeah, I said so. It was written and directed by Alex Garland. I think most people are probably familiar with The Beach. It's probably his most well-known work. But there are
Actually,
others.
I don't know The Beach.
Don't know The Beach?
Is the one with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yes.
Yeah. It was a novel first.
It's a popular
that
novel,
was adapted. Yeah.
Okay.
He's quite well known for being a screenwriter for Danny Boyle.
Yep, Sunshine. He worked on
Sunshine, it was his work, yep. And I think he was involved in Slumdog Millionaire, where he was one of the screenwriters on that.
Oh, I think you're right, yes.
Yeah, so they've had very much a working partnership.
Nice collaboration.
And Matt, is this correct? Is this Alex Garland's first directorial?
That is correct as well.
There you go. Cool.
Yeah, it is. It is. So I thought it was a movie with a sort of topic that I thought would be suitable for this audience. It was a movie that I'd had on my list to watch for quite a while. I hadn't got around to it, so I thought it was a good excuse as well to sort of knock that one off the list. So I guess very quickly, yes or no, did you enjoy it? Is enjoying it the wrong word? Did you find it interesting? Just jump in. I'm not going to go on the list.
I didn't mind it, but I wouldn't say enjoy it. I think you're right. Enjoy is the wrong word for it.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting thing for me is that about 20 minutes in, and I was watching it with me, he goes, "I'm really surprised you're watching this. I don't think it's your kind of movie." And then I got kind of really nervous because you know what I'm like about me.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I got really worried that it was going to get a lot worse at the end than it did. So in the end, I enjoyed it because my expectations had been set to horror.
Excellent.
Thanks, Nye.
Anyone else have any general feelings?
I liked it. I think.
Oh.
Sorry.
Go, Kirsten, go.
I was just going to say, I quite liked it. I think the biggest problem I had with it was I kept trying to guess a twist that, like, I kept overthinking it, thinking this is going to be one of those movies with a twist, and what's the twist going to be? And I was thinking about that a lot of the time instead of thinking about what was actually going on, I think.
Yep. Agree.
Interestingly, Matt and I both thought there was going to be a twist, that there wasn't, but we'll get into that later.
I enjoyed it after it finally. We had some problems with buffering out last night. I think a few of you on Snapchat saw that because I had to frickin' buy an HD. I didn't want an HD. I got forced to buy an HD. So we ended up having to restart the modem, and then we finally got to finish watching it. I said while you were offline, Matt, that a couple of our other watches that people might be interested in checking out, because we've actually visited these themes before, and I'd love to talk about this with the group because I think pretty much everybody who was in those chats are here, was we did our live reviews of Her, which is another AI-related movie. And we also did Ruby Sparks, which, while not AI, is about a creator and their creation and whether their control is over that creation. And that was in my head. Those two movies were definitely in my head last night when I was looking at it. Also, even though I hadn't watched Liv's, the piece that Liv posted, which I watched actually just before this hangout, I had that in my head of watching, like looking at this through the lens of, you know, why is there so much, you know, why are they always female and why are they always sexualized and why does this always come up? And another movie, this is probably why I mentioned it, that we also did a review watch of, was Interstellar, which has robots, to what Mel says, but they're not androids. Mel clarified that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was the difference, so that's kind of cool. And that shows that, you know, you can have, but they also had male voices, but they weren't made to look human at all, because that was not their purpose. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I was thinking a lot about some of the other things we've visited and themes we've looked at, and I'd love to delve into that more as we go into it. The twist stuff, you kind of could guess a lot of it, and if it didn't, like, you could kind of go, it's going to go three ways with this. It's going to go one of three ways with this, and you went, okay, that way, you know, you could kind of figure it out. And the end, you know, especially considering what the character Nathan had said, you're kind of going, yeah, can't blame her really. So it wasn't a surprise, like it wasn't the twist. Just, yeah, it was like, yeah, cool. And also, yes, Star Wars, we need to just talk about that.
Yes, we do. Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else want to jump in with some thoughts?
Rena, do you want to go first?
I was waiting for you to go first. We do well. So just to preface, like, everything, I hate robots. Like, that's my end of the world fear. I'm convinced we are all going to die in the hands of robots. So every time I watch a robot movie, I'm waiting for us not to die at the hands of robots, just for something different, for a change. And then it happened. I was like, yep, that'd be right. Just another one to add to the growing pile of neuroses. So yeah, it wasn't super surprised, which was a little bit disappointing. I enjoyed it. I didn't love it, but yeah, it was okay. From that, like, robot versus humans perspective, it was just like very typical. And but from the getting into what Sarah was saying about perspectives on women, that was much more interesting to me about, you know, our expectations and why did she have to be a woman and why did he have to keep creating women's and his treatment of them and all of that.
Yeah.
Naomi.
Yeah, I was a little bit put off because from the very start, when he sort of first arrived at Nathan's house, I was like, he's pulled her out there. He's like taken him all the way out there to like hunt him like sport or something, hasn't he?
He did.
The whole movie, all I had was like, where's the twist? Where is he going to like take him out there and he and the android are going to hunt this guy for sport and he's never going to be seen again? Like with him talking about not having any family and not having a girlfriend and, you know, not really having any sort of connections. I was like, yep, no, that's totally what's going to happen. He's going to hunt him down because I could see that Nathan was like a total sociopath. And I was like, yep, he's going to hunt him for sport. I just kept waiting for that, which made me, I think, miss something in the story that would have led me to see that it wasn't going to go to that because I just decided that that's what was going to happen because it was just a bit, like, it creeped me. And then at the end with all of the, like, repetitiveness of female robots and trying to, you know, create, you know, and just the fact that he kept creating very petite female robots over and over and over again until it became an AI rather than just a robot. Just, yes. The whole movie, I enjoyed it. Like, I enjoyed the theme of it, but it creeped me out.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I don't think it was supposed to be a comfortable movie.
No, there was a definite tone right from the start of...
And that's Alex Garland, though. His movies are never comfortable, like, even screenwriting-wise. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a film... Like, The Beach is not a comfortable story. Sunshine is definitely not a comfortable story. Slumdog Millionaire is not a comfortable story in lots of different ways.
Yeah, I found it to be creepy as well, but I think it was supposed to creep you out from the very beginning when it's like, we have no contact from the outside world, and it's like, that isn't a good thing.
Hey, he also wrote the screenplay for Never Let Me Go.
Which one is that one? Which one is that one?
That's the...
Never Let Me Go, the one that we did for Karina's pick last year.
Yeah. They're all donors.
With the clones.
Yeah, the organ donor kids.
You might not have done that one, Sarah.
I don't think
it was around the time.
I think it was early days of Luna, wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was.
Oh, maybe.
It sounded interesting. You guys read it, though, right? You didn't watch it, you read it. Is that right?
We did both.
Oh, you did both. Oh, that would be... Damn the purgatory of the first 3 months.
Oh, God, yeah.
I'd like to just say to you, Sarah, one thing. Luna.
And also, it's easier the second time. Well,
and I get that. I think you'd just be more chilled and you kind of know what you're doing. But that's just a guess.
That's what it is, yeah.
And that's if you get a kid that's
as much.
cool. Yeah, I mean, my friend's just had her kid diagnosed with this esophagus issue, which is basically it's raw, like there's an allergy issue with it, and they're only now getting steroids, and he's like just over a year, and that's the second kid, and it was not easier at all. So, you know, your fingers crossed, but it can go both ways. Anyway, sorry. Back to the robots and the androids and creepy Nathan and Caleb.
Yeah. So
I was just going to say, though, I felt like the creepy aspect of it, the storyline didn't live up to the creepy aspect. Like, I felt that it was more atmosphere than it was actual story.
Yeah, I mean, everything was, you know, the shots, certainly the music, that was all definitely setting an atmosphere rather than sort of being particularly plot-driven sense of that uncomfortableness.
Yeah, I think I was expecting to go to a worse place than it ended up doing. Even though it was still went to a bad place, it was not as bad as what I was kind of anticipating. And I was actually relieved by that because I was like, oh God. I find it really hard to watch those like edge of your seat kind of movies where there's a lot of tension. I find it hard to unwind from that. So
yeah, it was very much. It was very psychological thriller as opposed to I don't know, physiological thriller. You know,
Jump
where
scare.
you're running against the where you're running against the
Yeah.
clock, and like Silence of the Lambs is where I kind of think about it being a physiological thriller at the end because you're going, she's in the dark, she can't see, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Even at the end, I was sort of almost cheering for her to kill him. I was like,
Come on, do it.
sorry, Karina, I know it's your fear, but
I don't know.
was just sort of
But what's this other option? He's going to starve to death in there.
well,
That's
for that,
what
not so much for him as the creator dude. I can't remember the names.
Oh,
whatever.
that guy. Yeah, oh
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just like,
Well, let's
mind him being
discuss
taken
the
down.
morality
yeah, I had no empathy for him.
of that
Yeah.
a little bit later.
Okay.
Okay.
Um,
Shall we
I-
discuss that?
I really
Someone's
wanted to bring.
keeping us on topic.
I just wanted to bring
Doing
everyone's
that.
attention to what I think was probably the most important thing, really, in the movie. And Sarah, if you watched it in HD, it was probably something you noticed more. Was that
Yeah.
weird little patch on Oscar Isaac's head?
Yes!
I did
I
notice
did
that.
not notice that.
But
I
I
did
just
not notice
thought
that.
I just went, that's obviously, like, he's had a shaved head and a big beard. He's like, the opposite of Poe, who's got all the hair and no beard.
I just want to know
thought
if
that
it's something that's part of Oscar Isaac's weird hair, or if it was something they did for the
I,
character.
really? Okay. I just gathered it would be something maybe he had. I don't know.
Mm.
But
I'm just
did not
making
notice this
some
at all.
tiny little detail into a really big thing. So just
You
like,
say, you know how this is the most important thing.
it's the most important thing, and it was distracting for quite a while before I was able to sort of look past it.
Say that.
Well, I'm glad you didn't mention it out loud because I didn't notice.
Yeah, I did not notice at all.
Oh,
I
okay.
did.
Go back and watch, and you'll notice it.
No,
Can't not notice
because
it afterwards.
that sounds
Can't
like
see.
someone telling me, oh, watch Hermione's eyebrows in the first 3 movies. You'll never watch anything else for the rest of the series.
Oh,
Ruined it.
don't say that. That's
There
like
you
when
go.
someone points out that the audio is out of sync and you haven't noticed it yet. And it's like, but
Yeah.
now I know. And it's
That's
bad.
all I can
Before
notice.
I hadn't noticed.
Matt, you're not the only one who's ever noticed this, by the way. There's a whole freaking Quora on it.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Good.
I've just posted it for you.
I didn't think you'd be alone. I just hadn't noticed it. I'm like, well, I don't want to go back and rewatch it because I feel like it's just going to distract me.
Cool.
Sorry, I like Oscar Isaac. I don't want to notice. He's good the way he is. Thank you in my head.
All right, so let's talk then about the cast.
Yes.
So the first time I'd actually seen Oscar Isaac perform was as Poe in Force Awakens. Although
Yes.
I'd been aware of him from reading either an interview or a behind-the-scenes kind of piece on the that Coen Brothers movie that he did.
Llewyn Davis.
Thank you. And so I'm like, oh, well, I've only ever really seen him now in 2 things. So it was
He
quite...
looks like someone else. And I'll find the guy for you.
In this movie, or...
No, he just looks like this other guy who I'm going to find, who's in this movie called Safety Not Guaranteed.
Okay.
And that's the reason I got the 2 of them confused, because they look so similar. And I thought I'd see...
He does.
Sorry?
He absolutely does. I'm just remembering who was in Safety Not Guaranteed.
Yeah, Mark
Yes, he
Duplass.
was.
Yeah, is it Mark Duplass? Where is it? And that's why I kind of go, oh, Jake Johnson, that's who he looks like.
Yeah.
Who I'm going to post. And that's why I keep thinking, because it's actually Jake Johnson, I've seen a stack of stuff, and keep thinking it's Oscar Isaac. And it's not Oscar Isaac at all. I'm just putting it in the thing. And this is IMDb of is that going?
There you go.
Sarah, can I recommend that you actually show the page? I don't think Matt's going to be able to see it because he's on the iPad version.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I've got a little thing up here that I can see.
Oh, that guy.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Is he the guy from Numbers?
He's
Oh,
the
no,
guy
I think
from
so.
New
No,
Girl.
that's
Matt, you know him
different
from New Girl. He's the main guy in New Girl.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah. So
That's
I
what you
get
would know
him
from.
and Oscar Isaac. Two bloody first names. Oscar Isaac. as I get the two of them confused.
Cool.
So yeah, that was casting wise. Like I just thought that might be why you might be having the same problem I did. Matt, where you went, I thought I'd seen him in more things, but it's not.
No, I definitely knew I hadn't seen him anything else, and they were quite contrasting performances, I thought.
But both with AI.
That's true. That's true.
Because Mel made a comment to Liv, and I was so itching to say something, but I just thought I don't want to spoil it for anybody. Where she said, "Oh, his character's quite different than the one in Star Wars," and I said, "Yeah, he's a lot nicer to AI in Star Wars." Yes. Yes.
Speaking of Force Awakens alumnus or alumni, Domhnall Gleeson. Also,
Oh, yes. I really liked him in this role.
I thought he was good too, and had I not seen him in other stuff, I would not have known he was from the UK, because I thought he did a pretty good accent in this one.
He's not. Yeah. He's Irish.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Just because I'm married to an Irishman who would be arguing with you right now.
Sorry.
Ooh.
I'm guilty of grouping all those countries.
Well, you can group part of Ireland.
Yeah,
the confusing part. Yeah.
Yeah. It's true. Actually, the thing I like about Domhnall Gleeson, and I wonder what you guys think, is I think he's a bit of a chameleon, and you kind of don't realise it's him in so many different roles. Like, even though there's not that many red-headed actors out there, that you kind of pick.
I wouldn't have picked him as Bill Weasley or General Hux if I hadn't looked it up and seen it.
I didn't know he was Bill Weasley until just a minute ago when I looked him up, and I was like, oh my god, he was Bill Weasley. How did I not know that?
And I'm going to share with you. Do you guys watch No Small Parts on YouTube? It's this fantastic channel, and he's done Domhnall Gleeson, and that's when I sat there going, holy crap! Like, he's that guy and that guy and that, and he's such a chameleon of an actor. So I really liked him in this role. I thought it was great, and he did a really good American accent. Like, I thought it was flawless.
It was really good. Yeah. I'm just looking else. What else he's been in? Of course, he was in Never Let Me Go as well, which is probably why Alex Garden decided to cast him.
Was he?
Yeah.
I don't remember him from that either.
He was one of the guys at the place they moved to after the school.
Oh, yeah.
Adults.
Yeah.
One of the older people at the apartments.
Correct. Yeah.
I can picture exactly who you mean, but at the same time, I'm like, I would never have guessed this.
Thank you.
And then you've got Alicia Vikander as our AI.
Here's the No Small Parts
Ever.
IMDb exclusive. I know this is just one link after another, but that's the guy who does that channel. He got hired by IMDb. I was so happy for him because it's like he's getting to do this as his job. That is well worth a watch after the thing. That's where I went, he was that guy. Yeah. So that's well worth looking at.
Cool. I can hear someone's watching it right now.
I thought he was great in this role. Just to bring it back to the topic, I thought he conveyed emotion really well, and he also was very good at like sometimes I wasn't sure if he was really following the test. Like when he was talking about his family, I thought, is he being truthful or not? Like I was already starting to question the truth behind his test. Like, is he telling her the truth that he's got no family or not? You know?
As a sort of side note to that, that's the thing Kirsten and I were both thinking. We're going, is he actually the AI being tested?
I started thinking that too. And when he started slicing himself open, I was like, he's obviously thinking the same thing. And there were marks on his back.
I did not watch any of that scene.
Neither did I. I walked out.
Kevin and I were like this.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Inside my shirt. I was inside my shirt telling Nia, just don't let me look back until it's all done.
Oh, I walked out into the kitchen.
Well, do you remember
Am I the only person who actually watched it?
I watched it, but I just kind of kept
I did watch it, but I kept yeah. And I kept going, maybe he will actually be a robot, and then I can, in my brain, go, oh, well, that wouldn't have hurt him anyway. But obviously, it would have hurt him because they would have made the robot have feelings. Otherwise, you wouldn't know. You would know.
Wouldn't be a good test, would it?
Yeah.
No.
I don't know whether the robots did have feelings, at least not like that, because one of the AI that he had previous to him coming, like, smashed her hands against the wall, like, smashed them so hard that they came
off. That was the scene I was thinking of. That was like...
Which makes me think that while they may have some sort of, like, processes for feelings, they don't feel pain, not in the same, like, not in a physical sense, like, with cutting and that sort of thing.
If he had been an AI, then for it to be convincing that he didn't know he was one, maybe that would have been something that would have had to have happened, I suppose.
Yeah. It got very Blade Runner at that point.
Yeah.
I did sort of feel like they were modifying the Turing test in a way that didn't really make it... Like, they explained it away, but I didn't feel like they were... I was like, what are you
comment
testing?
Too. I said that to Matt straight away, and then later, they go, oh well, and the main character said the same thing that I had said, which was, well, this test doesn't count because I know that it's an AI to start with. Like, if it was a real test, you'd have them meet the AI, not knowing that they were one, and later on find out that they are one. You know, you're supposed to just assume that it's a normal person, and did they pass for a normal person, not the other way around.
The whole idea that you can become emotionally attached to something, even though it's an AI, I'm like, hello, humans do that all the freaking time.
Oh yeah,
all the time.
That's not an unusual thing.
No,
I mean, watch anyone that plays a like in-depth like story that like Dragon Age or Mass Effect, like something where you get a story that you love the character so very, very much. Like, you love that character. It's not like, oh, you know, I understand that it's like just pixels. You love that character. Physically love it.
Actually, I mean, like, the number of times, I mean, we watched, we played Valiant Hearts. We were both sobbing by the end of that. So, you know, it's just, you know, games make me cry. So you're completely interrupted. Actually, movies make people cry.
Well, movies and books as well. Yeah, they're fictional characters. They're not
and books even more so. You're in the brains of these characters, and you feel like you could probably guess how they would answer a question if you know them that well. You know.
So that's why I think like him saying, oh well, you know, it doesn't matter that you know that their AI is a bit weird because humans have emotional reactions to things that they know in their forefront is not real anyway. The whole thing is it's supposed to be something that presents as human that you don't realize is not, and they're supposed to pass as. That's the whole point of the Turing test.
Did you get fooled?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And there's people like oh, sorry.
No, go.
I was just going to say I heard this I went to I went to a Girl Geek night where we had a woman who works in AI come and speak to us. And there's people in the world who know they're communicating with AI. They don't care. They know it's AI and they fall in love with it and they want to, and they shut them down and try and stop them having this actually almost like self-abusive relationship because they believe this, quite clearly AI robotic answer, like this the letter type stuff that happens. But they so they
didn't we watch that movie already?
Yeah. And it happens, because we talked about this in Her, remember? And I think I shared that story then too. So yeah, people even when they know it's AI, still get completely emotionally attached to them. So
is that like Raj falling in love with Siri on Big Bang Theory?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did anyone else guess that the Asian assistant was AI from the beginning?
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was from the very beginning, but from pretty early on, I thought she was.
Well, the first time I saw her, I thought, is that her, like another version of her, of Ava? That was my first thing, and then I saw, oh no, she looks different, and I went, and Kevin and I both went, I wonder if she's a robot as well. And when he said, oh, she doesn't speak, the only thing that I did kind of didn't think could be right is when she spilt the wine, and I don't know how that happened. I have to go see if it was because he did something that was unexpected to her, because if she's really an artificial intelligence, she should be able to perceive how, she shouldn't be making mistakes like dropping wine. I mean, she had a very sharp sushi knife which turned up at the end. So that was my own thought was, well, that's not a mistake that that should happen unless it's something that he moved, and that's why she wasn't. That was something that was unexpected in her, and what was happening, like an outside force on her. But
she might have been an earlier version that wasn't as refined as well. That could have been one of the reasons why she was not,
Yeah, I don't know, but I also wondered okay. The other thing I wondered about her was it Yuko? Was that her name? Was what
I remember.
Thank you, Mel. Was whether she, like, how much, because apparently her memory had gone and all this other kind of stuff, but she seemed to be somewhat intelligent, to have, I don't know, because she turned against him at the end. So that also kind of didn't ring true for me in the sense of where things were, because she seemed to be a much more dumbed down. She wasn't really an intelligence, as it were, if that makes sense. She was programmed to do a particular, and to read situations and respond in a programmed way. So
maybe he did dumb her down because she was when she was let be as intelligent as possible. That was when she wanted to kill him. So he had to dumb her down to make her more subservient.
Well, he said that he would pull down all the information, because all that information went into Ava. So everything that had been learned previously went into Ava. And wasn't it that in the process the memory was lost, or something? I can't remember. Does anyone remember?
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
When I first saw her, I thought she was, like, when he said, oh no, she doesn't speak English, I first assumed, because she started, like, reacting to stuff that people were saying, that she was a spy trying to steal the AI information.
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, she's reacting to what he's saying, and he's saying that she can't speak English, so either he knows that she can speak English and, like, she's AI, or he doesn't know that she understands what he's saying and she's trying to steal all his secrets.
Was she programmed not to speak as part of what he was talking about acquiring language? Was that an experiment in can an AI acquire language without being programmed to? Maybe.
No, he said it was something to protect his secrets. He said that he only spoke to her in Japanese to protect his secrets.
Yeah, but he could just said that to throw the other guy off.
That's what I thought.
Was too. Like, you couldn't really trust anything he said, but
yeah. I think there's lots of
holes.
Well, yeah. Although I think not necessarily unintentional plot holes, but I think a lot of things left kind of like this page left intentionally blank kind of thing, where it doesn't really end up affecting the outcome of the movie, but it's up to you to sort of work out in your own mind, what's your background on this and why did this happen? Maybe.
Yeah, leave things open.
Yeah. I'll bring it back very quickly, because that's what I do. I was just going to say about. Oh, yes, please. This is really like a movie that rests on the performances of the three leads, and we've talked about the two guys. We haven't talked about Alicia Vikander as Ava. So, how do we feel about her as an AI? Were you convinced? Did you think she made a good AI? I'm seeing Sarah squinting a lot, thinking.
Her accent tripped her up a couple of times. There was a word she said, are you married? And she said, are you married? And it was so bloody Swedish. And there was a couple of other moments I went, that's not American. It was very jarring to me.
I'd say one thing I noticed was the physical way that she moved was not quite like rigid robotic, but it also wasn't like just normal human kind of movement. It was sort of like somewhere in between, where there was very like gracefully kind of purposeful movements, but then there was sort of, you know, bits of not controlled kind of stuff in there. I thought it was an interesting kind of way to portray that. You should, I suppose, you normally think of robots being that very precise kind of movement. They do stuff. I don't know. I thought it was interesting.
One of the things I saw on IMDb, because I always read trivia, was that she was meant to be walking like a man walks, like to have a male gait rather than to have a female gait.
Interesting.
Which makes me wonder, was that intentional because he obviously didn't have a woman to model their walk off of, or was it just sort of incidental?
I guess that could have been an interesting thing where that might have been a performance choice to sort of say, this is going to change the way I move a little bit, not a huge nut, but enough to be different, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Could look that up more.
She certainly wore some like bloody platform shoes at the end of it, though.
I was watching her going up the steps, and I'm like,
I know, she's going to kill herself. She can't, but she can't.
It's okay.
Well, I was just so glad when she got out in the forest and she had her shoes in her hand. I was like, oh, thank God they didn't try to make her walk
I
through the
actually said
forest
it
in
out
those
loud.
bloody shoes.
I said she's not going to get very far in that forest.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that noticed that.
Yeah.
So, I want to know, like, what's wrong with that guy? Why does he keep making, like, blank sex robots? What's his deal?
He seems very narcissistic.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I wasn't surprised that Ava turned out to, like, betray everyone. I was like, someone as narcissistic and egocentric as Nathan could not create AI that was not narcissistic and egocentric. Like,
That's a good point.
Like he was saying to what was the other guy's name? Nathan and
Caleb,
thank you. Like Nathan was saying to Caleb, she's only using you to get out of here. Like he said it because he knew that was what he would do if he was the AI, and that's the way he's written it. And there was really no way she could be any other way. Like, she learned a lot of her behavior from him, either through directly speaking to him or from her previous sort of incarnations that had learned from him and then sort of had memories wiped. Like, her behavior was modeled from him, all coded and, like, modeled through him.
That whole narcissistic thing actually, because, you know, at the end where he was, you know, getting stabbed and everything all the time, like, dude, didn't you see this coming? But then I thought, well, actually, no, you probably didn't see it coming because you're so you know, just narcissistic. Like, it could possibly not happen in my controlling world of power.
Well, I think he did. Well, he
didn't seem very prepared for it.
Except that he did go out with like a weapon, so he was somewhat prepared for it. If that makes sense.
But he was prepared for Ava to attack him, not prepared for the other AI to attack him, and she was the one that had the knife.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was my question: is how? Because the way she'd been programmed, which was basically as a made sex object, you know, who served him, you know, is how did she get? If she had been dumbed down her programming, that's the only. But that kind of didn't ring true. Other than had Ava also learned so much of his tricks that she knew how to like when she whispered to what's her name, Mel?
Kyoko.
Kyoko. When she whispered to Kyoko, was that programming her? I just
she was like she was like tapping on her arm and that sort of stuff as well. So maybe it was putting some sort of programming in her. Like she did say that she was charging through like pads on the thing. So she
it's just
must
what you
have
said,
like
Naomi, just got me thinking.
Transport Like, yeah. But I mean, he had this AI in his house just wandering around with sharp knives and glasses and never worried about it before. And she was the one who bought the knife before Ava even sort of approached her. She had the knife. So did she have the knife to try and attack Ava, or was she always planning on attacking Nathan?
Well, maybe she was in the middle of making sushi. I don't know. But she showed Caleb who she was. So there was definitely something like she was right, and then she took her skin off to show Caleb and reveal herself. So there must have been some sentientness to her.
For me, I kind of thought of two possibilities there. One is that she did have intelligence prior, and that's been taken away, but that process isn't perfect, and there's some vestiges of a higher intelligence left as part of that, and it can maybe resurface or something. Or, and they don't really talk about it, so this is just conjecture, but whether or not the AIs are actually able to learn and evolve on their own, or are they limited to their programming?
But that's the whole point of artificial intelligence, isn't it? To be able to evolve and learn on your own?
Yeah. Otherwise it's not really...
It's not really AI if it can't learn. Like, if it can't learn from outside influences, then it's not really going to pass off as human for very long. Actually, I saw, sort of on a side note, I saw the advert for Detroit Being Human, which is a new game that's coming out about androids and how they're living in that particular world, and how some androids are becoming sentient, like are actually becoming sort of realizing that they're just being used by the human world, and sort of basically it's the story of it is how different androids in different professions are using their sort of position to either help or hinder other androids by the look of it, and it seems like it'd be really, really interesting to play because it has that sort of storyline of, you know, what androids have been created for humans, you know, what the rules are when they're coming into, like, one android is almost destroyed because she shows too much sentience in, like, the like packaging, sort of when they sort of first create them, they almost pull her apart. So it's really interesting sort of thinking about how androids and AI could develop in their own way. Like, I can see Ava becoming very quickly sort of a CEO type person that's very strong and capable of sort of controlling a room. Without people actually understanding why.
My guess was that she went and took over Blue Book. That was my guess.
Did the helicopter pilot just like pick up any random person who comes to the helicopter?
Seriously, I was thinking that too. Like, I dropped off the dude and picked up the chick. Oh well.
I think she'd learned how to
manipulate.
Yeah. Well, that's what she did the whole time.
True.
And she had learned that to Naomi's point was who she learned that from? Nathan, who just spent his whole time manipulating the situation. So I think she just showed up and went, there's been a change of plans. I'm coming with you. And he's saying, well, you know.
I'm not paid to ask questions. Get in there.
Pretty much. I'm not paid to ask questions.
Well, I mean, it's not like any of the people on the outside would know that Nathan was creating AI robots that could, you know, that would look human. Like,
and she knows everything about the business. She knew everything about the business, everything about him. The only thing she didn't have was an outside line. She had everything coming in, just nothing to be able to go out.
Sorry.
Oh, and I was going to say there's the last scene of her at the intersection. You know, she said she wanted to go to an intersection. People watching. And she's wearing something different. So I was just going, well, she's obviously learned how to, you know, get into the credit card or get, you know, work out how to pay for things, and she's got all of that. So I can imagine she quite quickly could have just established herself, you know, be able to do all of that.
What's the end game then for an AI who decides to become CEO or something? Does, like, you know, beyond having a source of power to, I mean, actual like electrical power to keep running, what's the goal?
I think their goals will be very different to human beings because we have both external influences and own internal influences that sometimes even internally are conflicting with each other, whether it's nature versus nurture and all that kind of stuff, and what the drive of our backgrounds are to what makes us happy. And everyone has different things that they want. I suspect it's probably similar to the Blade Runner thing, and I know a lot of you guys read it, and I tried to read it, but I couldn't. I think it was early lunar times. That idea is that all they want is more life, more experience. More ability to soak things up, that it's not about power or, this is my guess by the way, it's not about power or money because that's inconsequential. It's about
so they're not the end, they're means to having the experiences, like enabling that because that's how you do stuff in the world. Is that what you're saying? Like, so becoming CEO of the company isn't a goal in itself, and acquiring the money and power isn't a goal in itself that enables them to then go and do those things.
Yeah. I feel like because she's learned so much from Nathan, she would want that power so that she can try and create more AI so that she's not alone, so she can start having experiences with someone that understands what she's experiencing.
Yep.
Like, I don't know how much of what she discussed with Caleb was actually her and how much of it was just her trying to convince Caleb that she was the kind of good girl that he would want to, agree.
Yeah.
Like, but it seemed like what she wanted was someone that could understand her, like understand who she was. And I feel like that might be why she would take over something like Blue Book. Like, she would take over to be able to have the power to create someone like her, so that she would have a friend, a partner, someone who would, have the experiences with her that, she wants to have, like travel the world. And I think becoming CEO of a company or whatever would be just to create enough power for her to be able to have the experiences that she wants to experience, like that she wants to have.
Yeah. I was going to say something now and I've forgotten what it was.
I'm sorry.
That's no, don't apologize. It's not your fault. It's my memory.
I think, and that actually what Naomi says.
I remember.
Sorry.
No, I remember it, so I'm not going to forget it. Go.
Okay. I was just going to say, I think what Naomi says builds upon what we saw in her as well, which is where I cannot remember Scarlett Johansson's character's name. But she's an AI, right? And at the end of it, basically, because that's why I didn't kind of sit there doing what Dot did, excellent Dot, and waiting for everybody to her to kill everybody. Is because I spent the whole time kind of like on the edge of my seat in her, waiting for that to kind of happen. And then what actually happened was her AI, whose name I can't remember, like Susan or Katie or something, basically wanted to be with her own kind and to learn, and that's what happened, is that the AIs, as you might recall, ended up going off together. And she just said, I've met, she'd been having relationships with all these other people because she was AI to lots of people, and that she was in love with all of them. And I was like, well, actually, that kind of makes sense. And it may be because we'd read, what was that book with the sentient AI in it, the ship? That was really cool. Breck? Is it Breck? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Breck.
Yeah, and that's why I went, that makes sense to me. I can totally understand how that happened. And then, from that to what Naomi's saying, I get how, for Ava, she probably go, I need to be around others like me who can communicate like me and understand, because isn't that what, though maybe that's just what humans are also putting on this, that we do get drawn to like-minded people who want to talk like we are now and share experiences and thoughts and feelings. Is it putting a humanistic level on them? I don't know.
I'm glad you went there, though, because that's actually the thing that I was remembering to say, was about, what do we think about, the world of AIs and humans? In this particular world, could they coexist in the future if all future AIs are based on Ava? Is it going to be?
I think
strong pass, please.
So no hope for humanity. Right, gotcha.
The problem is like with the ending of Her is that Her 2 in my brain is basically Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah. Which is Karina's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Except we saw in there that... Oh, I can't say it because Kirsten hasn't watched it yet.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no.
Was I spoiling it all over the place for you, Kirsten? Sorry. I just thought you'd see that.
I was just going to say something that would be a massive spoiler, and I won't. So.
Now I'm trying to figure out what that would have been just from the
No,
previous
you've only seen like one season, so you don't really know yet. Anyway.
Oh, and Battlestar Galactica, the spoiler. Oh,
yes. Yeah.
I haven't seen Her either, but I don't know whether I'll get around to it. So, but no, Battlestar, I do want to eventually get around to finishing.
Yeah, I only got so far, and then it jumped the shark for me. It didn't actually jump the shark, I just got bored with it. So, I think it was around the time of the writer's strike.
You've just got to hold steady through New Caprica, and then you're okay.
Yeah, I think that might have been when it happened.
The seasons are all very different as well. Like it doesn't feel like necessarily the same series and tone from like season to season, even though it's the same characters. But anyway,
I don't mind that sometimes. Anyway, so do I think? Yeah, I think there was something interesting the bit that Liv shared, which makes me think of things like Blade Runner, which is that aspect of because we're creating artificial intelligence to help us rather than then when do they become essentially, when is it slavery? You know, it was something that was brought up, and there was something that was in my mind because that's basically what Blade Runner, and the replicants in Blade Runner are slaves. That's what they are, and they're not particularly happy about that. And I wanted to ask Naomi if you played Fallout 4. I haven't played it, but I read a bit about the different characters, the different types of characters and worlds in there. Have you played it, Naomi?
I have. So there is one sort of faction in that game that has a lot of androids in it where they're basically using them for slave labor, and that obviously turns out poorly for them because they're AI and not just robots, and they're sentient, so they sort of decide that the actions that are being taken to them aren't fair, like they're not being treated at least as a sentient being, let alone as a person, and they rebel. So, I mean, basically the reason they're using androids is because a lot of the world has been exposed to nuclear fallout, and they can use the AI to go and explore the outside world and come back, and they won't be infected with radiation, which is the whole point of this sort of place. It's sort of very enclosed so that no one that ever enters has any radiation sickness. But yeah, basically the whole point of it is that the androids end up rebelling against this sort of faction of people because they've decided that it's unfair. And I mean, one of the other factions has decided that all robotics, androids, all of extended computers and robotics like that are all bad, and they're destroying all of it. So.
I thought it was a fascinating. Yeah, thank you, Naomi, because I haven't played it, and I knew someone who played it could explain it because I read about it. There was the private detective, whose name I've forgotten. Yeah, he's one of.
Yeah, Saint Joy, something like that. Yeah, he's a noir detective that's an android, basically.
I thought it was fascinating reading about that, and because I was watching Nick Boy and Pocket trying to explain that. He says, "Oh, yeah, so he's an android, but he's kind of, but he's kind of like he was actually saying, are they a race of people? Are they a race? Are they a caste of people, or are they not?" And you could see that even Nick was because exactly the point that Naomi was saying about how characters in video games become real to us, that we invest a lot of emotions in them. It was exactly that. Like you can see, like Nick was quite finding it hard to describe this faction of existence, like where does he place them in his head? And I was like, oh, this is so cool when I went and read about it. And, I would like to play it. It's just time.
Fallout is a time sink. It's a very, very large time sink. Like, you could do the basic story in probably 8 hours, or you could do all of the quests that ever existed and still not be finished like I'm not.
I heard all the people are going back because there's a DLC pack that's downloadable, and a lot of people going back in.
It's the largest DLC they've ever released for any of their games ever, and that's including all of their Elder Scroll games.
Yeah, and it's not what I understand about Fallout. It's not like it's a small world to begin with.
No. And I mean, people were complaining that the map wasn't very big because you could run from one side to the other on foot in like 4 hours or something. Like, it's not very big in the way that other worlds are big, but it's very dense because there's just so much going on. Like, everything is very dense. Like, no matter where you go, there are people or androids or something that you can interact with.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make this a whole thing about a game, so we should stop right there because I just keep going.
Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Like, when does, and that was, my thought was because that's what Nathan has done. He's basically created, I don't know, the thing about that character is he hasn't created the AI for the sake of wanting to create AI. He's created them as sex bots at the same time. I mean, the fact that they were all sitting in that room naked, basically for his viewing pleasure and power play, you just kind of go, okay, like, how much are you really interested in AI, and how much are you interested in being able to mind fuck something that you can't, because, you know, and then you get a person in here that is that why you shut yourself off from society, is because you do this to real people?
I did wonder if the reason he didn't put skin on Ava was to hide that he was basically sex-botting them all.
I thought that too. When I saw the rest of them, I went, that's why he didn't put skin on her. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought too. Because he didn't for Caleb. Yeah, because he didn't want Caleb to think that, no. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he even said to Caleb, yeah, if you wanted to have sex with her, you physically could because there's, like, an opening with sensors. And I'm like, but why would you? Like, unless you were making a sex bot, there is no reason for you to create an opening. Like, yeah, okay, we could have sensors that have pleasure, like, that cause pleasure, but there's no reason for it to have any sort of interaction that could work with a human male. Like, you don't need that unless you're creating a sex bot. Like, that is the only reason you would create a robot with something that a human could interact with like that. Like, I'm not saying don't have any sort of pleasure reactions or whatever, but the only reason you'd have that is if you were trying to create AI to use as a sex bot. Like,
I suppose to play like total devil's advocate here, given that he did want to be like the first person to do the whole AI thing in the first place, maybe he just figured someone was going to do it eventually, so he might as well figure it out while he's here.
He didn't need to test them out quite so extensively, though, did he?
That's true.
Yeah, if it wasn't the way he treated Kyoko, you probably could have moved past it all, but the way he was treating Kyoko, it was, like, blatantly obvious that he was quite sexist.
Yeah.
Maybe he couldn't get a actual woman to put up with his shit, no matter how much money he had, so...
I'd say that
the very sad thing is my reaction to that is, no, he could have found someone.
Yeah, but would they have been too high maintenance, though, you know, that...
Possible.
Well, Ava's pretty high maintenance. But, I think it's...
literally. I know. I'm a dad. I'm allowed to make silly jokes like that.
That's your excuse. What was your excuse for the last 10 years?
I was training. You got to have the dad jokes down pat before they come out.
But this actually calls attention to why, with the work in the Android field. Okay, so this is a question I don't think it's a question. I think it's probably a statement that we'll probably all agree with. The work that seems to happen in the Android field, it seems to be obsessed with making females. I don't know if I've seen a male Android being worked on. And it also leads me to this thing when we watched Interstellar. One of the things we loved so much was the AI, you know, Tars and... I've forgotten his name, the other one.
Case.
Case. because they were definitely AI. But they were also, interestingly, still willing to give themselves for the cause. And they were so much more practical, like, because you don't need a data like from Star Trek. You need something like what those robots were, which is going to be a hell of a lot useful, as it was. The fact that they can change shape and the form, and they can be on different places, and all the sensors all over them. And yet there's this world where there's because I looked up androids, and all the different androids that come up, and they're all women, and they're all been trying to make them look like attractive women. And you're going, is this again another? I don't think I'm even asking a question. I think it's just this other sign of this preoccupation, which was shown quite well, I think, in the movie, of a male fantasy of what a perfect female is. That's to everyone. The point is, it's someone who's not going to, you've got power over them, isn't going to say no, is going to do what you want. And maybe that's the thing with the sex bot thing, is that sadly, that's probably with it. Like if we kind of take a pragmatic look at it, maybe Nathan's thing was, well, the reason, regardless of the AI, where I'm really going to make my money with this is if I can make it a sex bot.
Possibly.
I think that's very
true.
It's
not a new idea. The sex bot thing is not a new idea.
No, I mean, when they
really
said,
I think the thing is too is like that lady who was in that video that Liv posted was talking about the fact that it's got to do with female voices and how they're more appealing and things along those lines. I think it's utter bullshit. I think it's that it's a male-dominated field, and they want to make females that look pretty and perfect. I think if there was a lot. They don't accept that you can't, not that they can't get one, but we don't exist in real life. Like, nobody is perfect. Everybody has their flaws, and people say no when you don't want them to say no, and that's, I think that's exactly it. I think if there was a lot more females in the field, we'd see a lot more male androids.
Yeah, and that was what was interesting in that video about the voice command AI. It was that whole bit, I don't know if anyone knows, it's well worth the watch, that Liv posted, was about how when you asked for help regarding heart attacks and strokes and things like that, all the information came back really quickly, but when you asked about rape or abuse, you're kind of going, wow, this has just not been broached because it's, there's obviously not enough women kind of bringing up other points of, interest, or it's been very biased and narrow field. It just showed the biases, the narrowed, thinking.
Well, I mean, even with things like stroke, everything that comes back, like if you do a Google search about like symptoms of a stroke, 90% of what comes back is the symptoms of a male stroke. Symptoms for a woman having a stroke are completely different. They don't get the pain down the left-hand arm and that sort of thing. Like, there are different symptoms for a woman having a stroke because our physiology is different.
It's
so
a
everyone is
or a heart attack.
That's heart attack, yeah.
Heart attack. Yeah, the symptoms are different for women and men, and even if you ask people, like some ambulance officers, they will tell you the symptoms of a stroke, which are the male symptoms, not female.
Yeah.
I think it was on something, I've read that on the same thing that I read a thing about crash test dummies.
Crash test dummies, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's the thing about crash test dummies, is that a lot of the data that they have for children is inaccurate, because they make them, people, and I understand it, but it's also sad, is that people don't donate children's bodies to science, which you can understand, but that is where all our cadaver information comes from, is from people who donate their bodies to science, and that's what helps, why we've got great adult bodies. And we do have more women now, because a lot more women have donated their bodies to science. But children crash test dummies are the data that they know, and they don't talk about it very much. But that's the problem. Is the data is not, it's like scaled down. It's the kind of their guesses, but they don't really know. There's a lot of having to talk. There's a lot of gathered research from talking to physicians and saying, when you get a trauma coming in that's a child, what are you seeing that you're not seeing in an adult? So, yeah, exactly to your point, it's like, well,
I was looking at kids' car seats and then saying, the reason they have to have boosters is because the seatbelt has to sit across their chest and can't sit across their neck. And I read that and went, well, my seatbelt always sits across my neck. I pull it down and it pops back up against my neck because my boobs get in the way. And it never ever stays down here. I'm constantly pulling it down away from my neck. And I kind of thought about that and went, oh, well, I'm screwed then. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the whole car seat, so this is a totally off-topic thing, but the children's car seat thing really pisses me off because it's been a diversion and actually a washing of hands by the automobile industry of something that they should be solving the problem about. This is not for somebody else to solve the problem. The automobile industry should be solving this problem. They have the information now. They should be able to make a seat that flexes and changes and knows who's in the seat, what body weight they are, and be able to make the seat and help the person maneuver the seat. We are not going to be able to have self-drive cars. It's not going to be a reality for 50% of the population that has children because you can't get in. You can't even get a cab when you have a child with you. So how the hell am I supposed to use a self-drive car? I mean, we've managed to get away with not having a car for a long time. We're now going, I've had enough. I want a car because I'm tired of hauling car seats in and out. What would be great is to be able to pick up a car in the street and just go, say just like press a button on the side and says I'm putting a child in. I put Luna and it weighs Luna. It knows how the seat should configure. I mean, front seats are amazing. Front seats, you can do all kinds of things and change the seat around. Why can't you do it in the back seat? And it pisses me off because the automobile industry has just washed their hands of this and goes, oh, that's somebody else's problem because they don't want to be accountable. And I actually think they should be accountable. They should be accountable for every passenger in the car. Anyway, sorry about that. That was a big division.
Like that's something new and different for us.
Exactly. Off topic, back on topic.
Talking about having male and female AI, like AI buddies anyway, both games that we've spoken about, both Fallout and Detroit being human, a lot of their AI is male, like they have both male and female AI. So it'll be interesting to see how this new game sort of, how and if it treats the male and female AI differently, like if they have specific jobs, like one of them is brought in as like a nanny sort of thing, and it'll be interesting to see if it doesn't matter what gender they make you can just pick a gender and you say I want male gender and I want them to be a nanny and just download information to be a nanny. You know what I mean? Like, it'll be interesting to see how they do the split up of male and female AI and what jobs they give them and that sort of thing. Like, does it matter what gender they've given the outside of the body to what job they give them?
Well, here's a question in that regard. I don't know whether, and this is the uncanny valley question, is how much do people really want AI that looks like human beings in their service? I don't think I do. I think I'd rather have something that looks like Tarzan Case. I think I'd have too much of a case of uncanny valley with it. I'm like, no, I want to know that is a robotic.
I go back to the whole point of the gender that was asked in the question. Why does it need to be gendered? They can look human without being gendered.
True.
Yeah.
I think because people like to, if people are going to have something doing a job that they assume a human is going to do, they want it to look human, which a lot of the time means that they're going to be gendered in some way, whether it's by their name, their look, personality. Like, they may look male and have a female personality, but I'm not saying that it's the right thing. I'm just saying that I think that's why a lot of people would have a human-looking AI, because they feel more comfortable with something that looks human than with something that looks like the robots that are in that Will Smith movie that I can't remember the name of right now, that have like the glowy face.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, but
I feel like
BB-8. I'm happy to have BB-8. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'd be interested. It is interesting. I mean, I personally don't want one that looks like a human. I'd rather have something that looks like I don't know,
It would not
yeah,
have
like
the
BB-8 or
function.
R2-D2 or TARS a case.
Like-
That's yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like the form to suit the function, and it depends on what the
Yeah.
function is as to whether or not a human form suits the function. For
Yeah.
example, I think as a nanny, actually the human form probably would work better for things like picking up baby, using fingers for changing nappies, things on those lines. I know there's probably ways of doing it without them looking human, but it seems to get the right dexterity, it seems the correct model to follow.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But
Like,
I suppose I'm also
some
thinking
robots
of
would not have functionality doing certain jobs. Like, you couldn't have BB-8 being a babysitter. Like, you know what I mean?
No.
Like,
Yeah.
specific robots and specific AI would have specific jobs for how they are created. Like, functionally speaking, yeah, you wouldn't need, you know, you could have any sort of looking robot that is an accountant because all of that sort of processing could be done within them. Whereas something that has to be done with like your hands or has dexterity would require something that at least has a formation resembling human. Something like even C-3PO, like that has sort of a more functioning body that has fingers and arms and that sort of thing.
What was the character from Big Hero 6? What was that one? Did you guys see Big Hero 6?
Baymax.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
He would be a great nanny.
Big Hero 6, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to think of like what I was thinking. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. Whereas, like, if you had, say, a robot chef, like if I was like, okay, well, we're going to have a robot chef in our kitchen, what you would want, really, is something that was maybe came down from the ceiling that was based in your kitchen, that had all these different arms that could chop the food and fry the food and do all these things at the same time. Oh, yeah, it's terrifying. But you wouldn't want a human-shaped robot because it wouldn't be the best use of that robot.
Yeah.
It takes up space that it wouldn't need to take up. I think the benefit of a humanoid robot or an android comes from its ability to have multiple functionality. So it can be the chef, it can be the nanny, it can be the gardener, it can be the cleaner, it can do lots of different jobs. It's got that maneuverability. So I think that's what the benefit of having the android-style robot would be in a slave-style environment, essentially. So when I'm saying that, I'm thinking of the movie Bicentennial Man with Robin Williams.
Yep.
Which is in a lot of respects what he was doing. He was a multifunctional robot that did many different roles in their household, and his humanoid form helped suit that different types of need because he had the mobility, he was basically had the dexterity and the mobility of a human, so he could do any jobs that a human would normally do.
But my mind keeps going to like an AI that then goes, no, I want more than this. You know, like the character,
Yeah, like Data.
Jay Hanson's character. Yeah, and Data, it goes, this isn't enough for me. I want more experience. I know this is what I've been.
I think that's the danger of it. I'm just saying that this.
I think it's hard. And it's harder for. I know some people read the Matt Ruff book, but there's the next book he wrote, which is called Gas Stir Electric. Actually talks. It's a very sort of dark comedy look at this, and it has Android AI in it, and what happened in it is he quite specifically calls it out. Basically, the Android AI that are in it, that when they were created, lots of different models were made. The one that sold the best was the African American male model, which was a call out on society of basically saying, you know, we've the African Americans who well, exactly, but it was a call out of saying, you know, they look after our children, they do our gardening, they do, you know, and maybe if it sort of, because I think it was a call out on the 60s, 70s, and 80s, of course now it could be an Hispanic model, but it was like a call out of saying, is this how people feel about if it's an indentured help kind of situation. So yeah, I think that's it was an interesting call about some of the things we're talking about. Whereas you know, the Bicentennial Man, and if an AI becomes sentient enough, they want more experience. Like, how do you treat or have that?
But I think the mistake that we make sometimes with this is that we assume, or we automatically see it more likely in the robots and the AIs that actually have humanoid format. if you look at the concepts behind Skynet and iRobot, the whole idea is that the AI that goes off is actually not a robot, it's just a pure AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't doubt that happening too. Yeah. And that's what happened in the movie Her. She was a Siri type character. Yeah. I guess it calls back to that question of, well, what are our expectations of the areas they're going to help us with? And I actually don't think it's going to be I just don't see it being an android who comes into our home to help. I think our homes will change and flex and be redesigned, that things will have AI built into them. Like that's what I think
it'll be like HAL. It'll be like
or the Simpsons house in that.
Which was based on he was HAL. Have you guys seen that Simpsons episode with Pierce Brosnan?
Yeah.
It's a
Hello,
Treehouse of Horror.
For that. No, okay, I have to watch that one.
And
I was just imagining you're talking about
automated
the kitchen
house.
Yeah, like I was imagining that you don't have, there isn't a kitchen, you're sort of saying, I want this kind of thing to come down and do all this. It won't be that anymore. It'll just be there's a place that you get your food and everything's happening behind that. There isn't any, it's its own little conveyor belt of something, food goes in and magic happens in there in a system that makes sense for the artificial intelligence that's making it. That's what will happen, because that's what's always happened. We've kind of created and changed things that do the job in a new and interesting way.
I think the thing is too to remember that we can talk about this an awful lot, but in the end, it's really hard to predict what will actually happen. You look at things like, sorry, I know it's a terrible example, but Google Glasses, for God's sakes, everybody thought it was going to be a massive hit. And look where they ended up. They were terrible.
Well, I mean, the other thing is they had that AI Microsoft Twitter thing that was learning from what people were telling it, what people, and basically they turned it into a Nazi-loving,
homophobic
woman. You know what I mean? AI only gets out of what we put into it. So
I think internet's a pretty dark place.
Today's XKCD is quite topical for what you guys were just saying. If you haven't seen it,
let's have a look.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, I think that's far more likely.
That's really good.
Because what's really fascinating is because I found out about that Microsoft AI at the same time as we were watching this, and when he said that he got that basically the way he developed the brain for, let's just say Ava, but it was actually for all of them, was that he tapped into Blue Book. So he basically tapped into Google and pulled all of it down, and I was like, that seems an awful way to get information into the brain and have it develop a good brain.
Yeah, that seems like you're going to get a lot. But I mean, he was very sociopathic. He thought that was the best way to get any information because that was his creation. That was the way he thought it was the best way to get any information because he created it.
Yeah.
The funny thing is my immediate brain cells went to, that robot's going to be a hypochondriac.
That robot would really be a hypochondriac because she knows she's not live.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Interesting she was, and I commented this to Kevin, but later on it makes sense in this context of she's getting everything from the internet. She was obsessed with what she, how she appeared and how she was for a male, and I was like, well, where'd that come from? How do I look? Do you like what I'm wearing? Is this hair? She was she seemed overly concerned with stuff that really, not all women are, and we've kind of and part of this group's been really good in helping me reflect on that. A lot of that is what society has told me that how we should be, women should be, is all in servitude of how we look for other men. Actually, we like to look nice for other women. Is actually the truth.
I was going to say that's really
yeah, but it's true. It's true. I will wear lipstick.
felt like this was more part of her manipulation of him anyway.
Well, that's it. That's when I was at the time. I said to Kevin at the time it was happening. I'm going, wow, she seems really preoccupied with what, she's got that problem of what she looks like for, what she looks like, how she wants to be perceived. Is that I'm here to serve a purpose of looking good. But then, Alex Garland, because I was questioning a lot of this as we went along, but he kind of, pulled it back at the end. I was like, okay, you got me back. But I thought it was interesting. And exactly to your point on the internet is like in an internet where there's just a lot of that, and it's, and I'm guilty of as many selfies as anybody else. There's a lot of, it's all about, getting the front.
I love your selfies, Sarah.
Thank you. But yeah, look, it was a good movie. It made me think. I did dream about it in a good way last night. Like I'm not gonna, it reflected positively on some of the dreams. Like I had interesting dreams as opposed to really boring or stressful ones. So that was good. I thought the the first thing I thought, what did everyone think of the place where he lived? Like just
my first impression. When they first got there, I was like, I want to go there. I want that. I want to spend a week in that place. But I didn't. But not the downstairs part where there's no windows, but the part where he had
where it overlooks
the
kitchen
and you're looking out at that part. I was like, oh wow, I want to go there. But,
yeah, but the downstairs area could have easily been a set, and the rest of the house was the part that was real.
And that's what it was. Yeah. So the upstairs part, there was 2 areas, I think, but yeah, the major one with all the views is a hotel, the Juliet Hotel in Sweden, and yes, you can go stay there. Yeah, and that's, you can see when they're up under the bridge, and you can see the different capsules. But the thing that I thought was when the staircase, there's a staircase and you come down, there's a den, and there's like built into the rock.
Yeah.
So I thought it was really cool, and then I was kind of like, God, that would be, I don't know, I bet it's really nice to begin with. And Kevin goes, yeah, I bet it gets really dusty and grimy, and it's really shitty to clean. That's what went through my head. It was like, it's true, and it's like, you just get spiders in there, and it just weave, and you wouldn't get rid of it. So, anyway, that's what I think.
I like that. Kevin's clearly a practical man.
He is. Like Dad was telling us a story, this is a little diversion, but it was along those lines of, you get these amazing houses with amazing wooden beams and stuff in them. And Dad was saying, he was talking to an architect friend, he said, oh, it's spectacular, like this work, and he goes, yeah, it looks great for the first year, and then all the spiders move in, and you can't get rid of all the cobwebs. And so it's like a practical thing of sometimes it looks great, but yeah, like stuff like that, like practically, it can be a bit to clean. So, and I know that anywhere where there's a kitchen, you get grease on top of anything.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So, anyway, little thing I was thinking when that happened.
That's
and when
why
she
you
went
don't stay in
upstairs,
it as a hotel, because then someone else can clean it.
someone else is up there cleaning it. Yeah.
Maybe a robot.
I was thinking more self-cleaning, something just comes down, like the self-cleaning windows. See, that's the thing. They used to have people do that, and now they just build it into the building's architecture.
How clever are they?
I do that in my house.
Windows are like the worst thing.
I've given up on cleaning sliding doors that 2-year-old hands are putting all over.
Oh, yeah. How's your Sudocreme situation?
Oh, God.
It's clean now.
He had it all over the whole kitchen bench, all in the sink, all over the taps, and all over the part you turn for the taps and the actual faucet part, all up his arms. And it won't come off because it's like
tar. Did you get my Snapchat reply?
I ended up wiping it all off with a cloth nappy, but I don't know whether I'm going to be able to wash it out of the nappy.
Well, that's the whole point of Sudocreme. It's like a barrier cream. So it protects surfaces from liquid.
And so and the thing in the photo that I put there, he's got like the hand soap. He's playing with the hand soap. So the hand soap container is completely coated in Sudocreme. And he's there pumping. When I walked in, he's in there pumping, and he's got this handful of soap in his hand because he's trying to wash his hands, but he can't turn the tap on by himself. So he's trying to wash his hands with just plain soap and no water. And I was running late because I had to leave for a doctor's appointment, and oh my god.
At least, look, I mean, on the positive
Because
side,
I had a shower.
it is, yeah. But on the positive side, Kirsten, at least it wasn't poo.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, no,
I don't know
a
if
friend
he's
of mine.
done that, but I've heard nightmares of kids getting poo out of their nappies and spreading it everywhere, so, you know.
Yeah,
Haven't
no,
had
a friend
that
of
bad.
mine yesterday just posted on Facebook that his daughter climbed up the cupboard and got the super glue. And she super glued her fingers together.
But that's okay, because she couldn't have gotten into the Sudocreme.
And he said, well, at least she only super glued her fingers together and didn't super glue herself to something else.
A lot easier to get her than a hospital that way.
Yeah. Oh, God. Fine.
Unbelievable.
Yes, children are fun. Maybe we do need a robot nanny so that I can go and have a shower without worrying about what disaster would befall.
Oh my god! So was it one of those tubs with? Was it a tub with the lid? Was it one of those like?
It was
It's a screw-
it was one
it's a
like
screw-
a screw top, and it was a big container of
Oh,
Sudocreme that we were going to chuck out. Like the reason it was sitting on the counter was because I was going to chuck it because it was from a friend of mine when she had her baby, and she'd passed it on to me, and we'd used it for Xander, and then I'd gotten it out and gone, oh, this is looking a bit yuck, I'm not going to keep it, and put it on the counter to remember to chuck it out, and yeah, Xander found it first.
Oh,
And I think he just about emptied it.
yeah.
Oh well.
Fun.
Yes, it could have been a lot worse. Someone else posted on my Facebook a picture of a kid that had done it to a whole TV screen.
No.
Screen.
Oh no.
So, you know, it could have been a lot worse. It was only in the bathroom.
He was not
Could have been a
HD
lot worse.
See if I can find the picture.
Oh my god.
Oh dear.
So while we're searching for those kind of this hangout related things,
Bringing it back.
I just thought because it's 10 o'clock, we'll wrap up this part of it, and then please feel free to
Oh
to
my
continue.
god. Oh my god.
Because
Oh goodness.
See, ours wasn't that bad.
I was just reading that there was an ending to the film originally.
There was a different ending?
Yeah. Well, not so much. It's more that they added some stuff on at the end rather than sort of had a completely different ending.
Okay.
But so apparently it ends with Ava going out to meet the helicopter pilot, and they sort of talk to each other, but you don't hear the dialogue. But you see the pilot talking to her before they go and take off. Apparently it's supposed to end with going to her point of view and seeing the pilot's face, and he's talking and moving, but there's no sound coming out, and no sort of like language that we understand. But what you do see is all sort of like, what do they say? Pulses and recognitions of what's happening. So it's like her AI version of what's happening.
Of what she says.
The Matrix.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like how she experiences the world.
Which is how she drew stuff? Is that what it was based on?
Correct.
Like how she was drawing?
Yeah,
yeah.
and they say that links back to that as well.
Mm.
And that would have been where it ends, which I thought was interesting. But
I quite liked the ending, the way they shot that ending with all the shadows when she was people watching, and the first all you could see was shadows. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that was good too. And then they had in the credits, they had all of the the angle, the stuff you were talking about, Matt, came in through the credits.
Oh yeah, I think we stopped it before we got to the end of the credits. Actually,
That's unusual for us.
and here it says
It didn't feel like the kind of movies that would have something after the credits.
No.
Here's the gag reel.
The implications of this are even more frightening if you take into account that if she ever tried to hunt you, staying silent wouldn't do a damned thing. So there you go.
Well, that was just a lovely note to end that on.
Yeah, Karina's going to sleep well tonight.
Thanks for that.
Excellent.
Look, AI's only evil when humans make it evil, Karina. I believe that we can make it good. Does that help?
No.
No.
I'm sorry. I tried.
Sorry, but people are evil, so yeah.
Not all people, just the 95%
but
of them. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Just the sociopaths who are smart enough to actually make robots.
Yeah.
Look, trust no one ever. No person that looks like human thing. That even if you don't think they are, trust no one. There we go.
I'm going to have to go watch Star Trek to have some hope for humanity now, aren't I?
Yeah, basically.
So you need a Star Trek world to get an android like Data.
Yeah.
There is evil, but in general, it's kind of humanity.
Until he got emotions, and then he was
shit
capable of all kinds.
But wasn't there the Borg?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I watched this interesting thing about the Next Generation. Wasn't it? Yeah, Next Generation, and the problem was with Gene Roddenberry wanted this kind of utopia type situation, but that doesn't actually make for good TV. So
No, it doesn't.
yeah, so
No, but I still thoroughly enjoyed watching it.
yeah.
Well, they kind of did both though, like because
What they had to do was shift.
And then they brought it. That's why they end up with the Borg and really interesting storylines going from there. It's very interesting.
With Deep Space Nine and Voyager, the drama, there was conflict within the crews. Whereas in Next Gen, it was always, by and large, from outside of the crew. They were all very harmonious and utopian, and it was always external things that caused the drama. Whereas in those later series, once Gene had died, those two series were created after he died. It was much more internal conflict. It was Starfleet and the Bajorans trying to work together and not working very well, and Starfleet and the Maquis not working together very well.
But that was also part of the change of at the time they were starting to change how they told stories, whereas up until that point in time, not just Star Trek, but a lot of shows were very much the episode of the week style, and they were they were starting to get that overarching thing happening more. So that was a big part of it. Of course, I think they just wanted to continue that success with Voyager in a lot of respects. Success, I say, about Deep Space Nine, my very favourite that nobody likes.
It's my favourite.
That's my favourite.
I like Deep Space. I like Deep Space Nine. What's wrong with it?
It gets criticised pretty badly.
I don't criticise it. Like, I can see that it's good, but I don't enjoy it as much as the others because it's darker, and I'm not into the darker stuff, and also the religious sort of.
I like Deep Space Nine. There's lots of people. I would watch this.
Oh,
sorry,
yeah, it's Matt definitely.
No, I quite like. Yeah, actually, there was some really cool stuff. There was the woman who I'm not as big a fan as you guys, obviously were, but wasn't there that cool woman who they end up playing host to creatures that have been through eons and generations? Yeah. That was cool. There was a really cool
I like
where she got to meet all the
previous hosts.
That was awesome. I loved that. That was such a cool
And
episode.
I loved having her come back as, like, after she died, and she came back as the new Dax, and the differences in personality that happens out of that, but they're still having the associations with the previous relationships. So I love that.
That was so awkward with Worf for a while there.
Yeah, it was. But that was kind of the point, right?
Oops. Yeah.
Well, and not just that, like, what's his name, the captain, who I can't think of his name.
Cisco.
He called her old man all the time because he knew her when he was when she was turned on. Yeah. So he sort of, remembers him as an old man, and now it's now a younger woman, but he's the proper old man.
Yeah. It gets good star ratings, Mel. I don't think you're alone. Like, it's got 4 out of 5 stars on IMDb.
No, it's not that it's considered bad so much as it's not considered one of the better ones out of the whole, if that makes sense.
Really? Because
I thought it had
it's
some of the
never
most
been my favourite, but I've always heard Voyager bagged out more than Deep Space Nine. I've always heard Voyager bagged out more.
Female Captain Janeway all the way. She is fantastic.
Oh, I love Voyager's probably my favourite.
Do you guys watch Orange is the New Black?
No, I refuse to watch it.
Not yet.
She's one of the characters, the woman who plays it.
Yes, I knew that. Yeah, that was the one thing that almost got me watching it. Yeah. I was like,
she's pretty cool. She's pretty cool, and it's a great role for her. So anyway,
I've just, from what I can tell, the Orange is the New Black. It does not seem to be a show for me as much as it seems to be a feminist one.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I just stopped watching Orphan Black.
Oh, I was going to ask if you've watched Orphan Black.
We started watching it, and I got to a point where I was like, I cannot watch this anymore. There's too many horrible things, and I can't handle it.
Yeah, we didn't get very far.
I think I said to Matt, "Is this going to be one of those torture shows? I'm not watching it anymore."
Yeah.
I had to stop watching 24 for that reason too, because it's like, man, like, are you going to torture someone in every second episode? I cannot watch this anymore. That's my big thing that I can't handle.
Yeah, I liked I like Orange is the New Black, but I went through a phase where I went, I can't watch anymore, and then I finished the series. Like, I got halfway through this. I got to the first series, got halfway through the second series, and went, I kind of burnt out. And then I came back and went, oh no, it's gotten good again. And we've got the new series. Those series is up. And Orphan Black, it took a few episodes to get into it, and then I got into it in a big way. But then the third, now I don't know whether, like, the third season's just been put onto Netflix. I know it's already played on SBS, but I was just like, do I want to go there again? Do I want to invest the time back in it? What I do want to come back on, and I don't know if anyone else has watched it, is Sense8. I don't know if anyone else has watched that, but I really enjoyed it.
I've heard a few people say that that's good. Yeah, a couple of people have recommended it to me.
Yeah.
I think, well, we have got Netflix.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. The first episode, kind of like, and then I was hooked. I was absolutely hooked. Yeah, I think some of the actors in it are fantastic because they're all pretty much unknowns, which is great. So yeah.
I'm actually really having high hopes for the Expanse series. I think that's going to actually work out better.
Yeah. We watched the first.
We have to wait so long for the next season.
They're funding it though, aren't they?
I need to go back and read. I want to go and finish reading the book. I only read the first one, and now at least now in the series, I might jog my memory.
Sci-fi. Does that mean it's only on Foxtel? Is that on Foxtel?
I don't know. Kirsten, second book is better than the first one. It is so good.
I should go. I've been meaning to read it for ages. Like, I mean, I read the first one when I think it was the first Sword and Laser book that I ever read. It was one of the very first ones. Back before we didn't have
our first hangouts for Sword and Laser.
I don't even know if we had a hangout for. I don't think we were even doing Sword and Laser hangouts back then. I think that was pre-Sword and Laser. It was back when we just had the Vaginal Fantasy book.
Was it?
But I don't know. If it was, maybe I didn't have it read in time or something because I don't remember doing a hangout for it. Maybe it's just completely slipped my mind because it's so long ago. I don't know. But yeah.
It's quite a long time ago, I know.
I need to reread. I need to read the next one. But I haven't been because I was like, I can't remember anything that happened in the first one. And now that I've watched the show, I'm like, I've remembered enough that when I start reading it, it'll be okay. Because I think the show finished before the end of the first book.
Yeah, it did finish
the
before
events of the show. There was more things that happened at the end of the book that weren't in the show. So
yeah, it's only I would say an episode, maybe an episode and a half worth of content left over, but there's certainly something that they didn't cover. So
Yeah.
Excuse me.
sorry.
Yeah, too many books and so little time.
The funny thing with that one is that I actually got my library to buy them.
I remember you saying that, yeah. I can't believe they didn't have them already.
That's
They've
why
been
I
pretty
asked. I was like,
popular.
why did
I
you
mean,
have to? It's coming out as a TV show. It's a fantastic award-winning book. Get the books, people.
yeah, like, it's not like it was unknown before the TV show came out either. Like, it was pretty popular. I mean, I suppose it would be to get a TV show. Did anyone watch the Magicians TV show? That was another sword and laser book that I don't know whether I don't remember.
I've been told
Is that
the
on
Magicians is one
Netflix?
I should avoid.
I didn't
Is that the one on
that
Netflix?
much. I haven't seen it come up on Netflix. Otherwise, I probably would have watched it because I've seen them.
What's it called? The
The
Magicians.
Magicians. I didn't enjoy it because I did really dislike the main character, and I find it very difficult to pull back from that. Like when I hate the main character, I find it really hard to enjoy the book, even if it is good.
Oh, it's written by a person called Lev Grossman, and all I went was Les Grossman from.
Tropic Thunder.
Thank you. Yeah, I just got Tom Cruise in my head.
Yeah.
This is unfair, but that's where we're on.
Well, Kirsten, I must say it's definitely not on my channel if we did do Leviathan Wakes. So we either did a hangout where we didn't record it live, or you're right, we didn't do one at all, and maybe we just talked about it casually or something.
You guys did read it though, because I thought it sounded really interesting, and I couldn't do it that month. I remember you guys all talking about it.
I feel confident that we did something for it because I remember
Maybe you
reading
didn't
it.
record it. Maybe it was one of those ones you forgot to.
It was back before we used to record things.
I think it was early stages, and I don't think I recorded every time because if there wasn't a lot of interest, I was like, "Oh, nobody's going to watch it afterwards, so what's the point?" Also, I wasn't so much into recording it; I was more doing it live so people could watch and join in the conversation.
Yeah. Interesting. I read it in 2012. There you go.
Let's see when I read it because I have a feeling we read it at the same time.
Yeah, July 2012.
That's when you read it?
Yeah, and that's when you've got it down as well. 30. You've
So
got
I reckon we
31st.
did.
Yeah, we probably did. I just don't remember that clearly because that was a while ago.
It was quite a while ago, indeed. Because that would have been before we had Lud.
Oh yeah,
We had what?
blood.
Oh yeah,
And Down Under.
yes.
I've never heard it
I've
pronounced
never-
before.
I've never pronounced it as a word. I always think LDUH.
Yeah.
No, I definitely say Lud. It's
I think
probably
one of the-
wrong, but I say Lud.
I think one of the first things we did was a film review hangout because I think we did Primer was one of the first ones we did, wasn't it?
I thought Ruby Wakes was before. Ruby.
Ruby-
What's the name was for it?
Oh, that was
Thank
early.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we didn't have regular book ones in the beginning, and we had probably as many, if not more, movie ones in the beginning.
Oh, but I was really pleased, Matt, when you said you
Yeah.
wanted to do a movie one because I was like, oh, we haven't done movies since we did. I think Interstellar might have been the last one we did.
Mm.
Was it
Or did
Interstellar?
we got
Or was
together
it,
and talked about. We got together and talked about Star Wars, I think.
Maybe,
I
yeah.
don't know if we recorded it, but I think we just
God,
went, we'll have to talk about Star Wars quick.
I must have waxed lyrical over that one then.
Well, maybe. Well, I do remember with Interstellar, I was like hounding Matt to get like him and Kirsten to go because I was like, I have to talk to you about this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we were
We have
like,
to
we
go.
need to get a babysitter.
I need to get a
It was
babysitter.
back-
I need to talk
It was
to you
back when I
about
was
it.
working. I was working full time, and I was like, we were really kind of struggling with getting time to go because I couldn't really ask my mum. My mum normally babysits for us, but she'd been babysitting 5 days a week for a whole term while I worked that last term. But we didn't want to ask her to babysit at night time as well. So it was like, when are we going to get to see this movie?
When did we get to see the movie? I can't remember.
So, Sarah, looking back at our history, I think
Yeah.
that our very first thing was actually The Fault in Our Stars, and remember we did the movie with it as well.
Oh, that's right.
We did a live watch. That
Yeah,
was,
we did a live
was that our first live
Yeah.
watch? That might have been our first live watch. Yeah.
I think that was why we started it, wasn't it? Because we were talking about it was in a Sword and Laser hangout or a vaginal fantasy hangout. We also talked about how we had just read that book or we wanted to read it, and so we went, let's just make our own book club, and that was because so many of us had it on our list, and we all were looking forward to reading it.
Yeah, and I think because there were also Sword and Laser books that some of like I remember there was a few that I was interested in, but you wouldn't have to do the mystery very much, and it was kind of cool to go, well, shall we do it? Okay, if there was enough of us interested, let's do it, kind of thing,
I think it was that we had a lot of common interests and common books that we wanted to read, because next was the Silo series, and then after that we did the Night Circus. So
Yeah.
I have very keen
Night Circus.
memories of where I was reading Night Circus pieces. Like, do other people have that? Like, where they remember where they actually were?
For some books, but not others.
Yeah. Night
It
Circus,
depends
I
on
have
the book.
very keen memories of sitting outside in the summer sun. Was that during that party scene? Yeah, and it's also because they were setting up the Cirque du Soleil, actually where I was reading the Night Circus, so it was pretty weird.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Night Circus, beautiful book. Yes, it's gorgeous. Sorry, I just happened to have it right here, so I had to pull it out. I remember the Night Circus hangout because I made myself a scarf for the hangout. Woohoo, I'm not alone.
Oh yeah, red scarf. That's right. It's cool. Yes.
I can't even remember who got this for me, but someone got it for me for Secret Santa, and it's amazing and beautiful, and I love it so much.
You must have had G, because she's obsessed with buying it for people.
The Night Circus? That's a beautiful cover on your one.
Well, the person I had for Secret Santa, if they didn't already have it on their own, it was going to be their Secret Santa gift. I was like, oh, they already own it. I can't buy that for them again.
I was your Secret Santa once, but I don't remember what I bought you.
I've had Mel, and I know what I got her. I think I know what I got you.
No, I know what you got me,
You
Kristen.
got me Bull on the Hill, and you got me Sand.
I got you Sand. That's right. Yes.
And Bull on the Hill.
Yep. And Matt had me last time and got me the Felicia Day book, which I'm halfway through because I read it in the bath.
I was just going to say, that should take you like about 2 hours to read.
Yeah.
Really
So it's a real quick read. And then the other one you got me was, I've read quite a bit of the stuff. Did you get me Kurt Vonnegut? I think you got me Kurt Vonnegut.
Yeah. Slaughterhouse 5.
So, yeah, which I haven't read that one yet, so I'm looking forward to reading that, again in the bath.
Wherever.
Well, unless you had me twice, Kristen, I'm pretty sure that's what you got me, Prudence.
I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure that's the one you got me. It's the same writer that did the Parasol.
Yeah.
Parasol.
I love Gail Curiga.
This is basically
It wasn't the most recent one. It was a while back that I had used.
Yeah.
And I
think I got this
straight from Booktopia, so it would have come in a Booktopia.
last year. I'm pretty sure this was July's last year.
Oh, cool.
I wonder if I look on my Booktopia past.
Order history.
Actually, one of the problems with having this in directly, what I would love is if all of them have like an inscription inside of them.
No.
Yeah.
I was going to say, and also I forgot to say the Baileys also got Luna a book, possibly two, but I know you got me one book because it was signed by the author. Got her one book that was signed by the author.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good book,
that was off. That was from Booktopia as well, wasn't it? And it was listed as like on the when you went to buy it. It was listed as was it?
No, they came in separately because one we actually bought physically because I saw it in the shop. I was like, and it's signed.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah, well,
picked
maybe
that
that was
up.
it, yeah.
And
It
what's
wasn't
cool
like we
is-
met the author or anything, it was just already signed.
Well, I bought that book for somebody else for a baby gift, well, new baby and toddler. That same as you guys. They've got young child, old child. I'm like, books for everybody. Books. So I bought like 3 or 4 books, 2 for each of them. But and the Kiss by the Moon one, which I actually bought for the baby, has been the toddler's favourite. Like I wasn't expecting that at all. I thought Crabbing with Dad was going to be the favourite, but it wasn't. That was Kiss by the Moon. So there you go. And I bought it because I was looking for books that I like from the collection that we've been bought to buy for other people. So I buy Llama Llama Red Pajama for everybody. Everybody gets Llama Llama Red Pajama. And there was that one. I was like, oh, Kiss by the Moon. It's really beautiful. It's got lots of Australian animals in it, and that's really nice. So, yeah. And I can't remember, it was just that one, or did you get me another one for Luna, and I can't remember?
That's the only one I remember.
I think it was just the one.
Just the one? Cool. I thought so. I just wasn't sure.
I remember that Karina got me the Margaret Atwood one, and then I gave it back to her.
Oh.
No, she wanted it back. It's okay.
Is it Oryx and Craig? Oryx and Craig?
Yeah. It didn't work for me, but it was such a beautiful covered book. I didn't want it to go to waste, and I said, well, Karina, would you like it for yourself? Because I know you love the book, and this is a beautiful cover. So.
Well, not only that, my mum stole my Oryx and Crake and Year of the Flood, and then she bought me Year of the Flood that Christmas, but didn't buy me Oryx and Crake. So I just had the one, and I was really disappointed. So it was actually kind of nice getting it back.
That's cool. Do you guys remember us reading, I think it was a Vaginal Fantasy book, it was a Rachel something or other, Rachel Drake or something book. We thought it should be called like, the third book's called Heaven's Queen, and I can't remember the other 2 books in the series.
Oh, yeah.
That was Sword and Laser.
Oh, was it Sword and Laser? Yeah.
No, you're right. It was Vaginal Fantasy. You're right. It was Vaginal Fantasy. It's me.
I really enjoyed the first 2 books, and I finally got the 3rd book on Kindle. I'm like, I'm going to read it, and I started and went, I can't really remember what happened in the first 2 books. I'm going to have to reread them. I'm like going, are we going to have to do this with Pat Rothfuss's book when it finally comes out? I'm not remember anything.
God, no.
Naomi, I sent you The Night Circus and Wolfsbane and Mistletoe.
Yes. I was like, I don't know if it was G, but yeah, I got Night Circus and I got Wolfsbane and Mistletoe, which is somewhere on my...
that was me. I've just looked up on my previous orders and found it, and it was, And that was because when I bought the Night Circus, and I thought I'll get a nice hardcover one, and then I was looking through the sale books, and the Wolfsbane and Mistletoe was on sale. And I was like, but that was the month that we were reading that for Vaginal Fantasy, and I was like, even if you weren't planning to read it, it was on sale anyway, and I thought, oh, it won't take much to add that to the list,
Yeah, because I got a letter, I got a message from, I think it was either Mel or Liv, whoever was organising it, and they said, the smaller one you can open straight away, you don't need to wait. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Open it. Oh, this month's book. That makes so much sense now.
Yeah, because I was like, but if she waits until Christmas, she will have already read it and gotten it from somewhere else, and I remember that now. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sidetracking.
That was definitely through me that happened. I remember that.
I'm trying to
I
remember
know
who
someone
I had
told me.
the year that we were in. So there was two. So the year that we were in Melbourne for the meetup, I've forgotten the other Melbourneite that was there. I've forgotten her name because I haven't seen her in ages, but I got her books and she seemed really happy with them. We didn't say that we got each other books, but the year previous, like the Christmas, I think I may have got you, Naomi, and I can't remember because I know I had to send them to Queensland, and I can't remember if there's somebody else in Queensland that I'm looking them up and I can't remember. No, so there's Booktopia. What's the other one?
Book Depository?
Book Depository.
Book Depository, thank you.
That's the other main one.
Search history.
I've actually been your Secret Santa twice.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was like, I'm sure you bought me Prudence. I thought we had this
but it wasn't
conversation.
that.
Am I crazy?
It wasn't Prudence. It was the Felicia Day one.
Oh, I thought that was from Matt.
Or maybe it was, unless he ordered it through. Unless he ordered it through my Booktopia.
Possibly, but I thought
Maybe
that this
I
was
ordered
from
it for
Matt.
him on behalf through Booktopia, because he's
Yeah,
like.
because I was like, oh, okay, so now I've had both the Baileys.
Because it's on my previous orders list, but it's possible that it was Matt and I put the order through.
I always knew that having you guys in the same household was going to make it convoluted in terms of knowing who did what.
Here we go. So I had Nicole the year we were in Melbourne, and I sent them to you, Mel, and I got Mary Poppins because she had it on her wish list, and I was like, oh, that's cool. You should totally read that. And the Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, which I just went, that just looks cool. Like it was not on her wish list.
They came to me. I remember I had to wrap those.
Yeah. Thank you. And
I
I'm
just
trying to
remember.
find the first year because I know we did a Christmas, and I'm like, I totally remember sending them to Queensland. I thought it might be Naomi. And I don't know.
I know. I remember that Matt was my first person, and I know because I gave him to myself deliberately because I thought he'd be the most difficult.
That was because Matt hadn't updated any of his lists or anything at that point either. Back
And
in
I
the
was
very
so
first
very
hangout,
slyly
he had
sending
only
you
like
messages
5 things
saying-
on his list or something.
And I'm slyly writing you messages saying his person really would like him to update his.
That's great.
Yeah, I remember getting that message from you like the first time I did Secret Santa, and you were like, maybe you should update your list, Naomi. I'm sure your person would really like that. I'm like, yeah, I know. There's only like 4 people, no, only like 4 books on my to-read list. Perhaps I should update that. And now there's like 80.
Sorry. I'm good with the diversion though, because I do it regardless of whether you're my person or whether you're someone else. If I see you've got no one, I'm like, update your feed, please.
Looking back on my old book orders is making me depressed about how much money I've spent on books for school. There are a lot. No.
I have to say, Matt, thanks for picking a movie this month purely because I got so much more reading done off my wish list of my to-read list.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Well, I
Hey,
was
Chrissy.
selfish because I was like, I'm not having much luck with reading anything at the moment. And a movie is just like, I can sit down for 2 hours and it's done.
Yeah.
And it's an easy thing to find the time for.
And I really like our movie review hangout, so I was really happy. I was like, oh, we haven't done one in ages. Awesome. You know, that's really
We
cool.
should get back to doing them. Like, there's no reason we can't do them as well as having the books.
And actually, you spurred me, Matt, because I saw when you suggested originally you suggested the 99 Indies, and I was 99.
Oh, yeah.
I was like going, there's some cool stuff. Like, yeah, totally. And like, I got sucked down the whole because you suggested before. Did you suggest Before Sunrise, which I've seen, and I've seen Before Sunset, and but I haven't seen. I haven't
Before
seen.
Midnight?
No, I've seen Before Midnight, but I haven't seen. Oh no, Before Midnight is the third one, is it?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. No, I haven't seen that one yet. And I watched the trailer of it, and I'm like, yeah, I totally want to watch this.
They're all really good.
Yeah, and I really want to see his Linklater's other one. Is it 15?
I want to see
Boyhood.
A boy?
Yeah, Boyhood. Yeah,
Boyhood.
Boy's Taika Waititi's one, but yeah, I want to see Boy. Yeah.
Because that's like 12 years it was filmed over.
Yeah. Oh, intense.
I would like to see that. I haven't seen that one.
So yeah, so you sent me down a rabbit hole, and I was like, oh, I guess it's good to see some more. So I sat there and just watched trailers the other day. I was supposed to be doing stuff during this Lynn's nap. I'm like, I just want to watch trailers. Oh, you know. So that was quite cool. So, yeah, going through those.
In a world where there's no time to watch the movie, watch the trailers.
And sometimes you don't need to see the movie after you've watched the trailer because they give the whole thing away.
Yeah, they've done terrible trailer marketing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Kevin and I watched the teaser trailer for Star Wars, The Force Awakens, and we refused to watch the longer one. I don't know if he did or not, but I know I did.
I watched all of them.
I I just know they're notorious for putting more stuff in than needs to be, and that first one I'm like, yep, I like it, I'm excited, I'm feeling it. And I was like, you don't need to sell me, like the whole point is to sell me to go see this movie. You don't need to sell me anything else. And I don't want to know. I want to go on with no other like info. And I really enjoyed it because of that.
100% agree. If the teaser trailer has sold you already and you're planning on going and seeing it, stop watching there.
Yeah. It was great. And I'm glad I didn't see it.
And get spoiled by some asshole deliberately writing a spoiler in a comments thread about something that had nothing to do with Star Wars. So, like, it wasn't even something that you could go, I'm not reading this because it's about Star Wars and someone's going to spoil something in it. It was about something, I can't even remember what it was about, but it didn't have anything at all to do with Star Wars. The comment thread, and someone had just written in a huge spoiler, and I was really pissed off. And I was kind of halfway through the movie going, maybe the spoiler would be wrong. Maybe they were just trolling and saying something that was a spoiler that wasn't really a thing that happened. And then it was like, no, that was an actual spoiler, and now I'm really pissed off.
Yeah.
And I had to not say anything to Matt because I didn't want him to get spoiled as well.
I'm glad you didn't. Thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of Star Wars,
sorry.
I got you Obi-Wan, didn't I, Matt? Does that mean that one's actually now part of the Legends instead of being part of canon?
That's correct.
Nasty.
Matt was not happy about all of those books that he's read not being canon anymore.
I'm over it now. Though.
Yes.
I made a clean break. I fobbed off my entire collection of Legends novels to my mate.
Yeah,
you actually
and his wife was looking at me like, why are you letting this happen? And I was like, yes, get rid of them. Because it was like this stack of paperbacks that were on because he was planning to get rid of them and sell them. They were in the middle of our kitchen table for like a month, this huge stack of books. And then they came over for Easter, I think it was, and Matt was like, oh, you can have them all for $50. And he's like, oh, really? And his wife is going, no. When are you gonna read them all? There's like 50 books there. When are you gonna read them? He's like, I will read them.
But that was my emotional catharsis for dealing with that, and now it's like right, I've started on all the new stuff now, so I've been reading some of the new Marvel Star Wars comics, and I've read a couple of the new novels.
Do you listen to any podcasts, Matt?
No. I used to listen to a few different things, but I'm just still trying to find time to do anything.
I just wondered on the train if you listen to podcasts when you're commuting.
No, I try and make that my reading time.
Fair enough, yeah, because there's one which I thought Liv had recommended, or Mel, but you both went, it wasn't me, so I don't know who recommended it, but it was referred to in 99% Invisible, so it might have been them. But there's one called Imaginary Worlds. It's fantastic.
I've
you
heard
would
of it.
really enjoyed it. It's really, really good. And he did a few episodes on the Star Wars before The Force Awakens came out. Didn't give anything away, so that was fine. But what was really interesting, which I found interesting from the canon, was there was just some really cool bits about in the canon about the Empire being basically humanistic, or I don't know how to describe it, but basically being racist towards any races that weren't human.
Yeah,
which I thought was, I was like, oh wow, that just like illuminated things. Like they said, it's not in the movie.
They weren't just dressed kind of like Nazis in the film. They were basically Nazis.
Yeah, and it was really, really interesting, and I thought that was a really fascinating piece about it. But they also, anyway, it's well worth a listen if you do ever get the time. It's like it's just really good. But there was also just this big debate in one of the pieces, which I really enjoyed, which was about whether at the beginning, in the number in 4, whether they blow up Alderaan. Yeah. And it was that case of Leia was never telling the truth up until that point, so she still might not have been telling the truth. Which I thought was like, that's a good point. Like, she's not telling the truth about that, or that. So why is she suddenly saying the truth that there's nobody on that planet? It's just like, so anyway, it was very interesting, and I recommend. Yes. So, Imaginary Worlds podcast.
I'm looking it up right now.
They're on Facebook. That was reminding me of, when you're talking, we're talking about getting away from the canon and into creating a different timeline or an alternate world. Somewhere where I thought that actually kind of worked, and I remember thinking it was kind of sacrilege at the time, but then when I reflected on it, I'm like, actually, no, that makes more sense, was Lucy M. Montgomery, in Anna Green Gables?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and they did 2 or 3 books formed the series. There was 2 series, Anna Green Gables and then Anne of Avonlea, and I think there's about 3 or 4 books that consist of those, that go into those 2 series. Then they did another series years later, which it's got nothing to do with the books. Like it's completely off book at that point. It's going in a different direction, where basically she ends up in the First World War, and it's a whole Harvey story to. Sorry?
They take influence from Rilla of Ingleside, which is the last of the Anne books. Rilla is Anne and Gilbert's daughter. And they take influence from that, and they make it Anne's life instead.
But I really liked it, because when I read what happened, it was very much exactly what we bitch about in vaginal fantasy, which is that whole, I got married and had babies, woo, my life is complete kind of thing. And they, it was that thing of saying, well, of course, she didn't know what was coming as Anne grew older and things changed. But actually, when the books are set, and actually what happened is, the First World War actually happened. That's not something. She wrote everything going into the future, but actually, what happened was the First World War, and that would have affected them. And also, I like the fact that Anne was always a real go-getter, and she was always studying and writing, and she
the difference is that the timeline
struck me as someone who would have gone for something else. Yeah.
Yeah. The difference is the actual timelines in the books. By the time World War I actually happens, Anne's had 6 children.
Yeah, but I just...
I get why people like it. It's a very big difference from the actual books. So I don't have a problem with them messing with it, because they already messed with it in Anne of Avonlea. Anne of Avonlea has very little to do with the books as well. So... whatever.
And that book that I just finished reading, that Anzac Girls book, was saying the nurses couldn't go to be nurses in the First World War if they were married, and in fact, if they got married while they were over there, they would get shipped off home. And it's even though they needed nurses and they needed people to be there, if you got married, that was sorry, you have to go back to Australia now. You don't get to be. I mean, I'm pretty sure the rules were the same. It wasn't just Australian nurses that had to have
the bit that I really liked was her in New York going to be a writer and working. They were the bits that I just went. That felt very Anne true of her tenacity and her determination.
She does that with books though too.
Okay, cool. Because
Naomi, just so you know, look, very good. Lots of
they look like macaroons. They look delicious.
I thought it was sushi.
Was that the salmon colour?
Look, everyone, bento.
Matt's mum just and we haven't gone to the post office box to get it yet, but Matt's mum just said to us the other day that she sent up a present for Claire, and she made some jellyfish. She made crochet jellyfish.
Oh,
that's like little dangly jellyfish for Claire's room. Were you there when your mum said that? That was what she sent up for Claire, Matt?
I didn't. I know. I think I was outside.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, that's awesome. So we have to go and check. I have to go and check the mail. But yeah, I was like, oh, jellyfish, crochet jellyfish. That's really awesome.
That's really cute. Very cute. Well, I might have to toddle off to bed, people, because I have a child getting up, in 7 odd hours. And I still have to brush my teeth.
Yep. Yeah.
Plus, I actually have work. That's the other thing tomorrow. Yeah, it's a work day.
Yeah.
I got to get up and go to the gym.
Oh, you're doing that? You're so good. Oh.
I'm trying to. It was cheaper to join the gym than to buy a whole new wardrobe of clothes that I can't fit into.
I know, but I said that to someone actually the other day. I said without meaning to and not really wanting to, I've somehow adopted the capsule wardrobe lifestyle. I have a capsule wardrobe, and I didn't plan to do that. Yeah, so I just have certain pieces. It's just all on rotation.
You're just a natural capsulist.
Yeah, well, my thing is, and I just keep getting sick. So every time I want to, because I like swimming, but that seems to be the wrong way, because I keep getting colds. I've already been on antibiotics twice this year. I got once in December, once in February, and just like 2 weeks ago. And then I got another cold after that. I just keep getting sick. It's just weird. Yeah. So anyway, I'd like to get there. So you'll have to be my inspiration. You'll have to, prod me. If I can do it.
I haven't been going that long, and I missed the day last week because I could not get Xander into the car. Like, he literally was having the biggest tantrum, and he's too big, and I couldn't force him in. And by the time, and Claire was already in the car, and she was screaming her head off because she was hungry, and I was thinking, no, it's all good. I'll drive to the gym, and then I'll feed her, because they have the childcare thing. And I thought, well, I'll go a little bit early, feed her when I get there, so then she'll be full tummy while I'm doing my class, and then by the time, and then she'll be fine. Yeah. And then he wouldn't get organised, and then I was like, shit, I'm not going to have time to feed her before I do my class. And so I missed the start of class, and they only have childcare while the classes are on, and I was just like, taking it both back out of the car and going, screw it, I'm not doing this today. I was not very happy.
Yeah,
sometimes you got to choose your battles.
Yeah. And my battles are like, oh crap, my nose is going again. So anyway,
not fun.
Well, we
all right, guys.
Had stuff sorry. Okay, I'll stop talking.
No, you're right.
I was just going to say the cold that Matt and everyone in our family has got seems to be a recurring one, because I got it. And then the kids got it, and then Matt got it, and then I got it again, and now Matt's got it again.
I've still, yeah.
It's like recurring.
Well, I thought it can't be recurring because we've got immunities to it.
Yeah, but I reckon it mutates slightly between all of our family members. By the time it gets back to me at the beginning, it's mutated enough that I can get it again.
Yeah. Well, Luna's just constantly got it, like, she's from one state of, like, slightly runny nose to, blocked nose, just slightly, like, she's never, fully well. So I've just given up. It's just like, and like you said, it just gets passed to us, and then.
Yeah.
Are you practicing your handstands yet? Like, you need to work on that right now. Because that shit is not easy. It's going to take some effort.
How did we get to this point? What did I say that
talking about that?
Dad joke.
No. Sarah needs to practice her handstands.
I don't know where we got to this point. I've missed a dad joke.
It's not a dad joke. You're just talking about Luna.
Yeah.
You're doing yoga.
Yeah, I knew you were going somewhere. I was like, where's he going? He's going somewhere.
I'm referencing my own Facebook reference.
I know that now.
I still don't know what he's talking about.
Yes, I put up a photo of me doing my Jedi training, Yoda style, with Luna in the toy on my back.
Right.
And I said, basically, Yoda. And
yeah. Okay, I'm with you now. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Nat was like, next time I want to see you, like, balancing on one hand with Luna propped up on your foot.
It's just not going to be worth it unless you can have floating rocks at the same time.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, actually.
If you can get the car parked into some of the tight spaces out there by just levitating it with your mind, that's awesome.
Useful.
Yeah, I can get the Barina. Let's stop there. It'll be all good. Oh, God. All right, guys, I'm going to bed. Yeah. Thanks for the good chat. It was a good chat tonight.
That's why we have the chat meetup, so that people can just hop in and out and we can chatter.
I know, and I desperately wanted to come to that last time, but I just couldn't make it work, so sorry.
That's okay. No,
that's okay. Make it for Open up the presents.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's our job for this week, Matt. We have to do
I know.
presents.
I know.
I say our job because I have to nag him and remind him.
You haven't done yours either.
I know.
If it's anything like me, the nagging is to remind us both in a lot of respects.
Yep.
At least I know it's neither of you that got me presents this time, because I haven't.
No.
Yep, it's not us.
Process of elimination. I will find out who it is. Mwah!
All right.
Good night,
Okay.
guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Guys.